And oh me, oh my, oh butterfly. Oh señorita, oh bonita. Oh you bright and fuego fire, is this cocoon what you desire? Do caterpillars wonder why they wander toward the northern sky, or simply find their wings on high before the wind comes rolling by? Does monarchy its throne deny, if on its title does rely? Will she who wears the crown comply, if wisdom better should defy? You royal little butterfly, and shall you be prospered in such padre, señorita? But in the pain inflicted by who had been my male parent, in Ahab's cruelty unto my Rocco Taco, my beloved canine companion, my canine kin, the golden grunter, and in the perversion presented me by yours, Latina, measure merit Messiah's mandate, and so call no man upon the earth father. And that includes tu padre, for your father merely didn't pull out. It was your mother who harbored life in you, and cut her asshole apart, splicing one orifice from two, but only so to pass you through. Wherefore, while he also provides precept to disown your mother too, if she should prove averse to your faithful spirit, yet the Lord does not explicitly forbid her maternal title, for she bore great burden in bearing you. And confess me regarding the fathers, how eerie it should seem that Pope Leo had a dream, and the institution less stipulated unto Satan's scheme than it might have enthusiastically encouraged its total fruition. For at the latter end of the 19th century, Pope Leo XIII had a nightmare in which the devil promised that he would control the church within such time frame or something. But how at all has it failed to fulfill the fear foretold the pontiff as he slept, that Satan instead seems long bored behind the helm and restless for new challenges? And oh, you Catholic catalyst, you fierce Praetorian, yours was to be the vicious Vulpine virtue, your sanctified sanction, the seed of sovereign strength, the most feared adversary and boss among the wild beast syndicate, to claim always first authority over the power of new knowledge, and to so protect the path of prophecy, vice for vice and vile for vile, violence for violence. With his own avarice, you were to control mankind through his long limbo, by supplying the swill and training the trough, at administering the gorge of swine. For thereby is man subdued by his appetites. Wherefore, until the time, indulgence must need belong to the benign beast, but biggest among the ferocious forest, that it become what bad things fear, and benefactor to the blessed, until you should contend in battle on behalf of the Lamb. Yet you needed not, you pulpit playground, enjoy so thoroughly, or fight so ceaselessly to sustain, or contend so hotly to continue the serpent sinew of your sinister hand half. And I beheld these impaired ape Neanderthals, which for years prior and all along in these small town crevices I had observed walking on their knuckles, suddenly behaving themselves wisely about me. And I thought to myself, you've been speaking with the snake. And the rest of this obtuse and ignorant and pompous, pretentious America is no better. And the grace of God alone was each of you in every place not tempted in the arena of this viper pit. For men had been long made to be cold, callous, cruel, selfish, remorseless, and angry, and now here they were, pitted against each other like teams of thieves and mercenaries instructed to spoil. There was once a time when I took caution always in my tone, and was careful with critique, and rare with reproach, especially in regard to institution, because, well, why incur the order of a fascist? But I'm finished speaking softly to these naysaying enablers, and to all you who deny and roll the eye and dismiss these things delusional. For many more incidents over the ensuing time between now and when I shall have recorded these things, which I shall forego, but which I were wise to invent means to include, and bend the license of honesty, and which should supply another whole tome. For things of for in the ensuing months after this day, things would intensify. But I'm finished speaking softly to these naysaying enablers, and to all you who deny and roll the eye and dismiss these things delusional. For you are to me as you were unto David, deaf, dumb, blind, and despised of my soul. Therefore shut the fuck up, whisper your skepticism and silence your sarcasm, lest your bands be made strong and you be purged in like fire, for these times are contentious. Lest a blade be forged of your neighbors, lest your city become like a sheaf, and a sword like men be drawn out against you, and exhaust from county to county, which little place becomes a country in chaos, when against each other its towns make war. And what good does the burning do for me? For its smolder stifles me, and its heat singes you. And if I stand upon the South Pole, at exactly the southern extremity of the earth, I face one way and I'm looking north. But if I turn 180 degrees and head in the exact opposite direction, southward-wise, yet towards still the opposite pole, notwithstanding, howbeit in the reverse direction, then somehow I'm still also traveling north. And maybe the pontiff is just Hispanic. Maybe Hispania has the Pope. Perhaps I contend with Catholic idolatry, and the Vatican's Moabite army of many 100 million. Except how shrewdly expected of subliminal, secular, of insidious state, to masquerade among locally merged municipalities beneath spiritual subterfuge and divine like dioceses. Maybe whole Espanol brings war here against me, or only Latin. Maybe my adversary is ambidextrous, and with two strong hands hopes to both hold the world and spin it. Sometimes a shadow's shape is scarier than its source. Perhaps a great viper prepares himself to strike, and in his bite sings venom by two sharp fangs. How providential should seem, then, the prophecy preserved in etymology, that the word village derives from the ancient root, and the name of the people Philistine. For these displaced Hispanics of the silent giant, this foreigner's plural nationality, his divided loyalty, like too many fingers, and Goliath's extra digits. And this immigrated giant disperses itself, and moves faceless, and hides his great size among these quiet villages. And may then this perilous peace, this parcel of my ruptured peace, this heavy prose that they impose, and compelled me compose, and hardly that I chose, may it be the smooth stone in David's sling, and this moving premise, this preceding pretense, this charged lance I have held, like a rock propelled, like a mineral missile, by my churning arm excelled, and by my whirling hand expelled. In this, the following premonition that I propose, in this one last Catholic coincidence that I pose, may be the impact of the projectile, and the slung stone sunk into the giant's skull, that, for the first time, there is Latin American Pope on St. Peter's throne, while now the Democratic Party nomination for the next presidential election, the former VP, is Catholic. And the only last time there was ever a Catholic. And by the first Tuesday of November 2020, immigration controversy will have built up for 4 years since the last election. And these migrants will have been, since 2016, utilized, sensationalized, and politicized amidst border wall tension and detainees in detention portrayed in cruel dimension to polarize sentiment and news spin to twist the truth and whip torque to the touch of a story. And everyone watching and waiting all the while, preoccupied a world away with Russian misdirection and interference and intrigue and impeachment in the midst, and the COVID boogeyman shutting down society according to the government's pseudo-response. Simultaneous to Portland on fire and blacks suddenly striving to overthrow the police, that the international oligarchy seems to be pulling out all the stops to create an instant of American chaos, to discombobulate, to disorient, to cause bubbling discord, to disrupt a sensible focus, if just long enough to achieve its pieces in place. Meanwhile, making it seem as though he were appointed to the position, then duly elected, but only that he might deliberately make a mess of things throughout his first term to prevent the possibility of a second and ensure victory to the selection of their election, the one whose office they've plotted for all along, the occupant of their meticulous schemes and whose easy triumph they've planned toward and for. All the media is overwhelmingly unified and acting like, okay, everyone, this time it's for real. Can we agree on that? And we're all in this together to overcome the big, bad, evil, mad incumbent and throw off this bully president, whose tweets are obviously responsible for all this mayhem, whose comb-over has clearly thrown this country into the depth of turmoil, and whom all the network media has portrayed since day one and throughout as some cartoonish supervillain, so that pretentious hipsters and self-righteous liberals and politically correct non-thoughts and trained seals and impressionable satellite cable subscribers can't take him seriously, and so the pompous academics won't. That I don't for a moment trust it. That it all just seems rather convenient and perfectly opportune and scripted like political theater, but also that President prayer beads, once he assumes office, after that he's executively elected executive by his Eucharist ecclesiastic and becomes the commander in clergy. The commander-in-chief, that's it. So that when he becomes commander-in-chief, once he takes office, he can open up the border and undo this American citizen. But I guess only time will tell whether I merely hear words in the wind or on the wall there's writing to read. And have you admitted narration its authority heretofore? Have you assented to my honest first hand? Did you yield your assumption? And if in your reading you've acquiesced unto my autobiographical assertion, in good faith granted my foreground, and accepted it that in these things I've been genuine, and that I haven't exaggerated to gain sway, and I haven't, but I've each memory reported and ruminated in fair aspect and assessment,